to make lemonade, brought to you by Young Boss Media. I'm your host, Yamina Lejean. As we all have witnessed the pain, the anger, and the frustration within the Black community, we continue to be outraged by the dismissive attitude from some of those in power and white people in general regarding the Black men, women, and children that have been murdered with impunity by the police officers across this nation. We want to take a moment of silence to honor those lives. Thank you. I'd like to introduce my co-host today. We have mental therapist Chantel Doswell, money management queen, Queen Candace. We have event coordinator Jay Rose, youth and mental health activist Jasmine Ballou, CEO of Young Boss Media Monica Grant, and once again, I'm Yamina Lejean, your host, artistic director, choreographer, and entrepreneur. And we're here to discuss with you. But before we get into our topics, ladies, I want to check in with y'all first. I'm gonna start with you, Chantel. How are we doing today?
Oh, sorry. I just realized my watch party got ended. Just wanted to see what was going on with that.
I just saw it.
So in any case, I'm doing okay. I think like most of us, I've been exhausted, I've been angry, I've been sad, I've cried. So there's been a lot going on. I'm interested to talk to you ladies today. I'm glad to be in community for sure. And I was sharing with you guys that I did a decolonizing your practice training with Shauna Murray Brown, who's actually based out of Baltimore. There's a lot of work with activists around this issue in particular and all sorts of different issues. And so, for me, it was particularly helpful and important to make sure that I, as a mental health therapist, decolonize myself in my practice as much as possible. So that was definitely good. So shout out to Shauna Murray Brown on that one.
Thank you, Chantel. How are we doing over there, Queen Candace?
I am frustrated, to say the least, that like this continuously happens, and I'm confused at the fact that it's on video. Like, it's been on video for the last 5 years. Now all of a sudden everyone's like, by the way, so I'm frustrated, and I'm hoping that this is the catalyst for actual actionable change, that we actually do something about it this time and not just say, oh yeah, for about 2 weeks and then forget about it. So I'm hoping this time we mean business, right? I mean business, so.
Right, thank you. How about you, Jay Rose? I want to check in with you.
I'm happy that I'm alive and here, but I've been really stressed out over the conversations that I've had to have with my children, especially like my 5-year-old son. My 14-year-old daughter understands everything, and she understands like racism. She's even experienced some occasions in her school, but my son is like, he's like, what do you mean, people, my life is in danger because of my skin, the way I look. So it's been a little difficult having that conversation. I took my daughter to a protest yesterday, and it was actually a really great protest. Not what people are trying to make it out to what they are. But yeah, it's a difficult time for everybody, and I'm kind of struggling with the conversations, like I said.
Yes, definitely. Thank you. Want to check in with you, Jasmine.
Hey, so I'm doing okay. I'm trying to stay positive. I haven't really allowed myself to cry or anything yet because of everything going on. Like I said, I'm just trying to stay positive and like keep everybody in the movement of like trying to make change. I don't want, like you guys said, for it to just fade away. So, I feel like although there's a lot of room to be sad and stuff like that, I haven't given myself that room yet because I'm more angry than anything. Like I can't afford to be like sad right now. At least that's how I feel because I just feel so upset. But I'm happy that I'm here and I'm happy that a lot of people are joining in on the movement, like way more than I ever imagined. So yeah, I feel hopeful, but frustrated.
I agree. And let's tune into you, Monica. How are we feeling today?
Today, I think a few people have asked me that, and my answer is that I'm ready. Ready for whatever, ready for the long haul, ready for whatever this takes. Um, this is not my first rodeo as far as a protest, as far as a movement, as far as any of this. This is actually like the organizer's dream to finally see the revolution in our lifetime, right? Um,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm ready for whatever that comes with. And I want to be in a space where I can be of an assistance to people that are not ready, you know? So I think that's where I am right now, just being really aware of that, that a lot of us are not ready for what is happening. It's not about to happen. We're not predicting anything. It is no longer conspiracy that America is falling. We are here.
Yes. Thank you, Monica. Well, ladies, let's get into our discussion. So first, we're going to start with what's in the news. Now, if you've been following the news, you've been seeing that protesters have been protesting all across the nation. The police have been provoking and being violent towards the people, even if they're being peaceful. We have white out-of-towners that are going into the community and destroying things and looting, and Black people, Black Lives Matter, all the protesters that are peaceful are being blamed for it. On top of that, we have Trump threatening the people, saying that when they start looting, we start shooting. So what do we call that? That's a war. So I'm going to start with you, Queen Candace. What you like to add to that for the news that's going on today, in your opinion?
In my opinion, I don't understand like what guns would do in this situation. Like, why would you incite more violence? How is that supposed to help, right? Like, the whole point is to end brutality and end violence. And instead of trying to come to terms with there needs to be a change within the police department globally, right? Like, this is happening everywhere. Everyone's been protesting all over the world and everything like that. So instead of saying, let me actually sit down with the chief of police, let me sit down with a psychologist, let me sit down with the politicians and people involved in these kinds of decision-making processes for, how we just keep letting these people get away with it, right? And instead of saying, let's come to an actual conciseness and a plan and fix things, he's like, no, let's throw in the guns. Let's just shoot people. Like, we don't want to be shot anymore. That's the whole point. Could you stop doing that? Like, so I'm really confused. And I wish that we had leaders in place who were able to think of this from a logical perspective, as well as, an emotional perspective, right? Because we're hurt. This is hurt. This is not, oh, I want to throw a tantrum because, my team lost and I just want to throw things through a store window. We are hurt as a people. And all we want is to not hurt anymore. So throwing the whole, ooh, I'm going to shoot you thing is, hello, that's the whole point. Stop shooting us, right? So that's my take on it.
Thank you, Queen Candace. Now I'm going over to you, Chantel. I'd love to get your on this.
Oh, as the sirens go by, this is the new normal, right? Which is, by the way, the helicopters, the sirens. I know even if you're not in it, if you're in a major city right now, you hear it, you know what's going on. And I want to take a second to address what's going on in DC, because that's where my people are. That's where a lot of people are protesting. And I just want to have a conversation about the relationship between the federal government and Donald Trump and the protesters in DC. I can't speak for what's going on in Midtown all the time. I can't speak for what's going on everywhere else. But here's what I know from people that I know. People were cleared with tear gas. Donald Trump went to go stand in front of a church with a Bible and didn't tell even the parishioners of the church. The Reverend came out with a statement and said, "I am fuming." Nobody told us he was coming. He used this as a prop in a campaign, right? He stood outside of that church and made a whole scene as if the church was devastated. And they were on the side of the protesters. People came out peacefully yesterday and were tear gassed within minutes. It's just Donald Trump playing his video game of, let me see how much force I can use. Let's see how prepared we can be. Let me see how many campaign shots I can get. And it's happening preemptively. It's not happening responsibly. And I've heard people in New York. I have a friend who's also in government who works for New York City, whose name is Zelnor Myrie, who was pepper sprayed in the face at a protest doing nothing. And that's just people I know. That's just people I know, right? And so all I'm saying is that there's clearly a lot of different things going on and people are taking advantage of chaos. They're capitalizing on a moment and taking advantage of the chaos.
Yes.
And I just want to take a moment to sort of say that hopefully in this moment in 2020, we see it, that we're going to call it out as it's happening and really try to not let it be propaganda, but really try to call out, this is what's happening. This is how it always happens, because this is how it always happens.
Yeah.
And I just think it's crazy that our president is doing things that feel so divisive. And it feels like it's because the election's coming up, which drives me crazy, because there's children out there. Like, J. Rose, you're out there with your daughter, right? The idea that within 5 minutes they're throwing propaganda, but really try to call out, this is what's happening. This is how it always happens, because this, there I was.
I'm on it.
But yeah, I just think the whole entire thing is getting very, is getting opportunistic. I feel like a lot of people are using it as an opportunity for themselves to push their own thing and their own agenda. And I'm getting a little bit concerned about what's going to come out of this message-wise. So I guess that's my concern.
Yeah, people are hitting me up asking me what to do, what's happening. And I've been seeing agent provocateurs since the jump, since I was protesting with Trayvon Martin, when that all came out. And so to not think, because we have to understand, as Black people, as we're organizing or not organizing, there are other groups also organizing. And so they've been waiting for this moment. They've been waiting for this moment that whenever the next one happens, this is what we're going to do. It's time for a revolution. And if they're not going to do it, we're going to do it. So there's so many things happening right now. It's a complete mind fuck, to think that all of this is over one situation, but it's a collective, and we're tired. We got a sister, Trina, she hit us up and said, "Yo, I can't make this show." And I get it, because this ain't just one issue. We've been dealing with this all our lives since we came out the womb. We've been dealing with this all of our lives, and then we see it overseas, we see it here. And how can you develop how can you have boundaries when nobody respects your boundaries? When nobody respects your life, nobody respects your body in this country, period. Man, woman, child. Nobody cares. We seeing videos of babies getting pepper sprayed, rubber bullets going at kids. Nobody is safe, no matter how. And I'm a positive person. No matter how positive you is, you still have to be ready for whatever in this state and time, and that's hard.
I saw a picture of a young girl where they were pouring milk over her because she got pepper sprayed in the face.
Yeah.
That just, I'm the oldest of 7, even though my siblings are older, but I have nephews and younger cousins, and people who are young and not, they're younger than 18 and they're upset and they want to go out and do something. And I'm proud of them wanting to protest, but then at the same time, I'm afraid of their lives. I'm afraid for them not coming home that evening, or them being blinded by pepper spray or being hit by bullets.
Mm-hmm. There's a whole new issue. I don't know if you guys are hearing about it too, where it was trending on Twitter for like 24 hours. A boy named Justin Cosby, he went basically missing. He got arrested in Chicago, and his parents could not find him. Like his family, nobody could find him for 24 hours. Like, and the only reason I guess they ended up even giving him back was because like people were calling the precinct by like the thousands, and they eventually gave him back and everything. But when they carried him off, like there was footage of them carrying him off, he was unconscious, so people thought he was dead. And like I said, they weren't giving his family answers. And by the time he finally came out, he said he was fine and everything, but they weren't giving him water. He said he couldn't talk to a lawyer. And that's not the first case I've heard of that. I've heard a couple of people saying they've gotten arrested and then they basically weren't given their basic rights. You know what I mean?
Not to mention that since this started, Tony McDade, who's a trans Black man, was also murdered by the police since the riots have started. So it hasn't slowed anybody down.
No, and like, how do you even get regular news when all we know is the pandemic, Donald Trump's an asshole, we're at war. That's all we know.
And for my folks in Maryland, today is an election day. So if there is a local election where you are today, do not forget. Post your black square, do your thing, but please, 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 if you are somewhere where they're holding an election and there is someone up for office where you are, please make sure that you're getting out to the polls and voting. I know it's scary to go outside, but I just want to really make sure, because this is a voting day, a lot of places that Black folks are not using this blackout to black out your voice and black out your vote. Just please, if you're voting for elected officials today, please still go out if you were going to go out. Don't forget it's a Tuesday, because I know we're in quarantine. Like, please still go do it.
That's what I was kind of going to get into and discuss. Like, voting is so important. And, you know, for a long time, when I was first old enough to vote, it wasn't really a big deal for me until I started realizing that, you know, voting just for the president or voting just for the governor or even just the mayor is just not enough. Like, young people, those of you that are turning 18 by any election day, I encourage you guys to please execute that right that you have to use your voice and use it in voting. That's another way for you to protest as well, because you have to think about the people that are in your communities making the decisions that directly affect your community. Those are the people that are actually going to make changes in where you are, rather than like the president. There's so much shit that never makes it to the president's desk, but, you know, they make it to that district attorney or that, you know, that advocate for your county or whatever it is. So it's really, really important that you guys, especially I encourage young people, because sometimes the younger generation doesn't really realize how impactful voting is, but it really, really, really is important. If you don't speak up and make a decision of who you want to lead your community, guess what? They're gonna make the decision for you. So it's just crucial. Taking my daughter yesterday to the protest was like a little scary at first because I really wasn't sure what to expect. She's only 14. I really didn't want anything to happen, but luckily, even like the police presence, you know, of course, it was a little like nerve-wracking having them around, but they actually worked really well with the organizers of the protest and made sure that like people weren't like bothering the protesters and making sure the protesters were just like not blocking too much traffic. But it wasn't like disrespectful. I was watching like the encounters between the police and the organizers, and it was like very positive. They didn't seem like they were being like pushy with them. But then it's so crazy when you look on social media and you see the complete opposite, and you see people being violent towards each other. Like I'm like, every time you see me looking down, I'm looking at my phone because it's another video somebody sending me of like white people throwing bricks into windows. And like, there's a video a young lady I recently posted where she's like blacking out on everybody. And it's just a group of young white men that were spray painting, and they were like breaking windows. And she was like, what are you guys doing? That is not part of our movement.
You know where that was?
It was in New York. It was like, I think in the city, because they destroyed one of those, you know, we have like these towers where people can charge their phones.
I know it. I saw that this morning. Yeah.
And they were destroying that. And she's like, yo, there's homeless people that depend on this right here to charge their phones. Like, you're destroying the homes of where like people, shelters, where
they was wilding around Fordham. It's around Fordham. That's where they're wilding at. Like, it's like a war zone.
For me, it's like, yo, like, I get it. There's like white people out there that want to be allies, and that's great, and we'll welcome allies, but like, don't come to protest and fuck shit up and think that like that's what we do when we get angry, you know? And then it don't get me started. I had a big message to the Hispanic community, like Puerto Ricans and Dominicans. Y'all need to stop thinking that you're not black, because you are. I don't care how light your skin is. I don't care how light your eyes are, how straight your hair is. We are black. We have to know our history. And I cannot stand how much prejudice and racism I see within the Puerto Rican and Dominican culture. Like, it's so upsetting. And I had to say something. And let me tell you, like, I lost people, unfriended me on social media, stopped following me. And I don't care. I don't care, because my value is not dictated by how many people follow me on social media. I know my value. So it doesn't matter. I'm going to still have my voice. I'm going to still let y'all know that you guys are out of line. Like, we need to support our brothers and sisters, like, to the teeth and nails, or however the saying goes. Sorry, I was going off on a rant.
Welcome back.
So I just want to add something really quick onto the voting part that you spoke about. So something, me, are you talking?
Yeah, can you guys hear me?
Mm-hmm.
First, I want to say welcome back, J. Rose, because she was gone last week. So we want to welcome her back, and she's here giving her opinion. And we also want to shout out Trina Be Real, because she's not here with us today. So I just wanted us to, if you didn't see her face last week, this is J. Rose. So go on with Queen Candace. Oh, wait.
Sorry, yeah, I didn't hear you like talking. My bad, you mean it. But so I just wanted to add on to the voting piece, right? So it's important to actually understand who these people are, right? They're not just names on a ballot. If you are going to vote and exercise your right to vote, be educated in the person that you're actually going to invest in, because these are the people that, like J. Rose said, make the decisions for where your money goes, what, you know, happens in your education. So if you really care about the arts and all of that stuff, these are the people that make the decisions. The president doesn't make that decision. He don't care. He up there in La La Land trying to make sure the, you know, vast majority of us get covered. But like the minute things that happen within your community, if you're frustrated, the stuff that's going on with gentrification, all of that, that stuff happens at the local level. That does not happen at the executive level, okay? So make sure that you are educating yourself on who that person is that you are voting for. Do not go by, oh, well, my friend said this person is great, so I'm just gonna vote for this person. Have an actual valid opinion about them, right? So research them. It takes 2 minutes to do a Google search. Google is my best friend, okay? It takes 2 minutes to get to one of their legitimate actual websites and see, okay, what does this person feel about education? What does this person feel about race? Does this person even give a crap about the Black community? What am I voting for them for if they don't care about me, right? About your finances and all that good stuff. So please, please, please get educated on these people on these ballots, y'all. And every single one of these elections matters, not just the presidential election. So make sure that you are going out, getting that information, educating yourself on them, and actually getting the person into office who can assist us now.
And you're absolutely right, Candace, because as a kid, what do? We follow our parents and we just say, who are your parents voting for? I know I did that. And then as I got older, I had to really be like, especially coming from LA, moving to New York, things are a little different. I need to know who the councilman and I need to know the locals, because if I'm on the East Coast, I didn't grow up in the East Coast, I still need to know what's going on. So you're absolutely right that we have to educate ourselves. We have Google, there's no excuse. We have Google. Like she said, no excuse.
Can I say one thing on that? Like, so even with everything, me and my brother were having a conversation. It's hard to find who's running, and like I know people that are running in other districts, but it's hard to look up. Like this is like there's a blackout on information right now to know who's running for what they do, because you got to think about it, this pandemic started when people were fundraising for their campaign. So a lot of people didn't even get on the ballot, but people are running and they need to be voted in. They need to be written in. And so some people are running, like Shaniqua Charles out in the Bronx, Chantel Jackson. Some people need to be written in on a ballot in order to even get in office. Siobhan Newsom, she's running. These are people that I know, but like there's so many people that are running that we don't even know about, and we don't know what to do because by March we had to be on lockdown.
Well, since we're all talking about voting, I want to get on the next topic for our news. So people want to know what can be done to improve the situation, what could be done to save Black lives. People have been asking that on Facebook, either they're Black or not Black allies. What is it that we can do? And my add-on to that is we need police reform. We need police reform, which includes new laws, policies, legislations, standards, and code of conduct that hold them responsible for their actions. So ladies, what would you like to add on? What are the actions that we need to take? So we're talking about voting. People don't even know what the hell they're voting for. So what would we like to add to that so we can put that in their mind? Because police reform, in my opinion, in a lot of people's opinion, is something we have to continue to push.
I agree.
I'll start with you, Jasmine.
I was going to say I agree because I actually never knew until recently police can get fired from whatever department they work at and they get hired in the department in the next town over, basically. So obviously there's a huge issue in police reform. Besides that, also having those hard conversations. I know this time has really, really challenged me and like just my temper when it comes to people not knowing certain information or wanting to spread certain information. I'm someone who grew up kind of in a white area, so I have a lot of white friends, and I've found through this time that I've had to educate a lot of them. And usually I'm the type that I'll just be like really quick to just cut somebody off and everything. But like I found that like through educating some people and letting them know like, no, there's microaggression forms of racism. By you not saying anything, you're kind of being just as racist as everybody else, basically. So I found that like by starting some of those conversations in like a peaceful manner, it's actually gotten more done than like when I used to come at people angry about it. You know what I mean? So I feel like us as Black people being able to have the patience sometimes to talk to people, even though we feel like this is information they should know, it's happened for years, like you should already be educated about this. Sometimes they need to hear it from a certain person before it like connects. You know what I mean?
I agree. What do you think, Chantel?
So there's two things I'm thinking. One is for companies. The other is just kind of more general. So the first thing is my sister works for a PR company. So if you're a brand that says you stand behind Black people, here's the thing.
Say loud.
Nobody wants to see your regular content right now. Nobody wants to see it. Nobody's interested in seeing an ad about that flat tummy tea. Nobody's interested in seeing an ad selling them anything on, Alibaba. Nobody wants that right now. Right now, if you post that, you are tone deaf. You are worse than silent. And that is just not a good look, right? And so one of the things that my sister's PR company, which is called the Riviera Agency, is trying to do is sound like a guide to people on if you're going to post something, which you should, because silence is complicit, right? So it's like, post something, but here are the guidelines, right? Like including don't co-opt hashtags that belong to movements that are needed to organize things. On top of that, make sure that you're capitalizing the letter B, right, for Black, because instead of the lowercase b, that's a small thing just for respect, right? And I think that the other part of it is just making sure that when you're sending stuff out, that you're really staying consistent with whatever the message is that people who are represented, who are kind of in the seat that are oppressed need to be heard, right? And so if you want to put out a little stock photo, that's fine, but I think there's a lot of different ways to support people, including just putting people's names out there, just saying people's names, just saying George Floyd, right?
Yeah. Here's what I want to see. I'm going to take my time. I don't know who was next, but I'm next. This is what I want to see. I want to see people staying in their lane, right? Because when it comes to police brutality, I'm going to call on Black Lives Matter Greater New York because they actually have a plan. You know, for me to say, like, just to rattle off, like, this is what we need to do, there's actually organizations that have done the work to say what the plan is. And so for people just to pull out, oh, we're going to do a boycott, we're going to do this, we're going to do this. No, fuck you. Go to the people that actually have done the work and have been on the ground from the very beginning, and then let them lead. Let the people who are doing the work lead. You know what I mean? There's billions of poor people that are out here organizing themselves, taking care of themselves without the help of some celebrity saying, we just gonna do this. No, we're not. You know, and so I want people to stay in their lane and really empower the people that have done this for years and for generations. There's people that got generations of fight and resistance in them. Those are the people that we gotta uplift. Those are the people that need to be our celebrities right now. Those are the people that need to be our influencers, not people that want to have an ego trip. And I don't care if people aren't posting. Like, I'm with Chantel. Like, if you don't have nothing to post, don't post, because I'd rather have you make moves in silence. I'd rather you just show up at the protest and not all on live like, yo, I'm here, we looking cool. This ain't the time for that. If you wanted the time for that, you should have been at Trayvon. You know what I mean? If you finally getting woke right now, congratulations, but you got to catch up, because we already got things in place right now, and we ain't waiting for you. So if you want police brutality reform, holla at Hawk, holla at Black Lives Matter, holla at Tamika Mallory. You know what I mean? There are things, and it's not just about police brutality. We ain't got food in our communities. We ain't got healthcare in our communities. We've been hit by the pandemic. We've been hit by the Great Depression. We got 40 million people that's unemployed right now. We have so many things right now, and then we got the cops on our neck. So it's not just one thing. We have so much that we have to cover, but there's people that's doing the work right now, and people want to be celebrities. We cannot have that. Stay in your lane.
Stay in your lane. She said that.
I was gonna add, like, there's a lot of petitions out there that we can sign. I was looking online, someone had sent me like different lists of phone numbers that we can call to protest, like specifically even just for like George Floyd. They sent out like all these phone numbers I was just looking at the picture. It was like pictures to their governor, like their police chief, like direct lines, what to say, different websites to look at, know our rights, like study law, like not necessarily go to law school, but study the law, like study what they're using against us to try to justify what they're doing. We need to like study that and know it. You know, there's a documentary on Netflix, the 13th, that you can watch, and just to educate yourself on the 13th Amendment, and you know, the right to bear arms. So there's a lot of like self-education that we could do, like independent learning and research that we can do, like Queen Candace said, start in Google, and that'll lead you to all these different websites. Follow the right Instagram pages that give you like good solid information, not people that are just putting out shit to look cool and get likes because they want to act like they're part of a movement. Like really look at people that are out there trying to make a difference and are giving you information, all the different protests. But yeah, there's a few petitions that I got the links for. I can share it with you guys later on, and we can share it from there. You can contact me on social media for any info on protests, petitions, websites, any type of research you guys want to do. You can reach out.
So one of the things also, so I've been Googling all week because I'm anxious. So when stuff happens, I'll be like, what's going on? What's the history on the thing? Let me make sure I know all the speeches. Let me make sure all the people. So two things. One, when Trayvon Martin was killed during the Obama administration, he said something really interesting in his speech about it. He said essentially that as much as he feels for the people, the federal government is not in charge of state affairs. What that means is that the federal government actually has no power to control what individual police departments do. And within states, police are private institutions that can choose, because of a protected status, even though they're funded by government money, right, to withhold certain information if it's part of an investigation that's ongoing for a crime, right? So those two factors alone should make you start kind of wheels turning, looking into things policy-wise, and really start thinking, who then should I be looking at when it comes to making reform around this? Is it even Donald Trump? Could he even do anything about it? Or is he just kind of laying claim for what they do? That's why when his people come out, they're the Secret Service, they're the FBI, they're the CIA. They are not your local police department. They don't have anything to do with each other. All right. And the FBI is pissed off half the time at the police department because it's really not the same even in training. Right. The second part of this is that I Googled someone named Crispus Attucks this week because he was referenced in a Martin Luther King quote that I was seeing where he said everybody should know the story of Crispus Attucks. So the short version is that Crispus Attucks is a half Black, half Native American man who was the first death that started the Boston Massacre, right? But then also the American Revolution, right? Because he was killed along with 8 other men by British soldiers who worked over him and had special rights and protections over regular people in America, right? And so while they were working, they weren't being treated fairly, they weren't being taxed fairly, they weren't being paid fairly, right? The conditions were unjust. And so they started throwing objects, snowballs, things like that at these soldiers, and the soldiers killed them.
Yeah.
And so not only did they create a riot because regular citizens realized that that could happen to them, it started a riot because they went to court, represented by John Adams, our second president of the United States, who defended them, and they got off because it was considered self-defense, something that no one on the other side would be able to do, kill a British soldier. So here we are, that's the beginning of the American Revolution, where the citizens of America who are white decide that when power is out of control, right, that it is within the citizens' rights to uprise because the system, the courts, did not serve justice to that citizen. And before that, the system, the economic system, the governmental system did not serve justice to those people who were living there, and everyday workers, everyday citizens, right? And so that's the beginning of, in 1770, a half Black, half Native American man started riots in the streets because of his death, because of his trial. That's American history. And so just so anybody's wondering, right, if a riot over a Black man's death has ever led to anything productive, it's the reason why we're sitting in the United States, right?
That's
and so
right.
Just for context, that's what my Google search did for me. So please, I didn't learn that in school. I did not learn that in school. So that's just a quick little, because I was gobsmacked. I'd never heard that before. And that's not white history. That's not Black history. That is American history.
American history.
Yep.
Thank you
Crispus
for
Attucks.
because that's definitely important. I remember learning that in African American studies in college, because they definitely did not teach you that. I do want to move on to the next topic, but I do want to piggyback off of what you were saying about the fashion and the businesses not posting about their business. My message is to the dance community and the dance studios. You have Black teachers that bring in money and revenue to your studios. You have international students that come from Europe that come and learn hip hop and learn about jazz and learn about Black culture, period. Put cornrows in their hair and they're in music videos. And you guys are silent. That is a problem. And as a choreographer and as a person in the artist business, your voice needs to be heard. I need to hear something from you, because I will not be working with you.
Culture vultures, they steal it until it's no longer appealing.
I represent the dance community, and that's what I have to say to you, dance studios, agencies. Use your platform to support us. And if not, we're not going to be bringing in any more revenue to you, period. Okay, that's all I have to say. So let's move on to the conspiracy theories. Brought to you by Chantel Doswell. What you got for us today?
Okay, so let's start off with a slow ball, all right? There's been word going around about your man's Donald Trump, not y'all's man, right? I'm not trying to imply anything, but I'm just saying something's going on about your boy. I don't know what the name of the disease is that everybody thinks that he has, right?
Dementia.
Is what?
Dementia. They think he has.
They think he has dementia, but it's like a specific type of dementia because they've got pictures and all sorts of odd evidence, including memory loss, the way that he leans forward when he stands. We've all seen the classic Donald Trump lean that he does. And on top of that, some memory loss, you know, being overly emotional, things like that. Impulsivity, you know. Plus he's an elder, you know. Not my elder, but somebody's elder. And so people think that this is the conspiracy of the week, that Donald Trump is actually might be staving off some signs of dementia. He's got some issues going on mentally right now. It's showing up in the middle of this protest, you know. He did just grab a Bible. Nobody had any warning and walk over to that church the other day to give the speech. So that definitely didn't help the case. I don't know if y'all have heard this. Have you guys heard this?
Yeah.
It's called frontal temporal dementia.
Frontal temporal dementia. That's what they think he got.
Yes, and let's see with the frontal part of your brain, it's the part of the brain that controls logic. So that's why, like, people with certain mental health issues, like myself, when the emotional side, which is in the middle part of the brain, is on hyperactive, the front side shuts down. So there's you're thinking emotionally driven, but you're not logically driven. So I could see him having some fucked up shit going on with that logic that he's got.
Just for reference, you know, because good for you, Jasmine. That's an absolutely on point description of your brain. But just for those of y'all who don't know, 14-year-olds, like 14-year-old teenagers, 13, 14-year-olds, and toddlers, this is the area of their brain that isn't fully developed that they struggle with, why they're so selfish, right? They can't help it. It's still developing. They're struggling with their sense of, you know, self in the world and how other people feel if they were put in their shoes. So that's my way of saying that this would mean that Donald Trump might be more like a 14-year-old or a toddler than somebody you might see, you know, who had fully functioning frontal lobe, you know, action going on. Just a theory, just a conspiracy. I'm not saying it's true. I didn't say it.
I believe it.
I mean, at this point, I feel like every day is super brand new. That to see in our time a president die in office is extremely possible. I don't know how we're going to get through this. Even if, say, we get another president in November, we're still in riot mode. We're still here. So yeah, I think all of that sounds and look at Obama went gray in his 8 years. You know, I can imagine even if Trump was healthy at this period, I'm pretty sure his brain is completely gone.
Where you guys always, you know that everybody's always having those conspiracy theories around The Simpsons. So they're always like, oh, they always are saying what's going to happen in the future. So there was one episode, I've never seen it, but there's a bunch of pictures of it where like Donald Trump passes away. So some people are like, oh, like what if they're trying to foretell the future? So you guys saying the whole thing about him possibly dying in office, I mean, it's possible. He's pretty old. He might possibly have dementia.
Because the Simpsons
said
it. Because the Simpsons said it, and the psychics on their writing crew are never wrong.
Exactly.
We don't know people, so let's just leave it. Let's just keep it at that scientific evidence right there, and move right along to the darker side of conspiracy. So the first thing is that there have been 2 autopsies done on George Floyd. The first one would indicate that he has a methamphetamine or crack problem. And that's what the story has been, that the Minnesota Police Department has sort of said, because it's their, it's their autopsy. And so the medical doctor who signed off on it, if you read that report when it came out, there were a lot of things about pre-existing health conditions, a heart condition, drug use, things like that would have contributed to a natural death, whether or not a knee was on his neck. Maybe it exacerbated it, but it didn't cause it. That kind of line of message. But the other thing is that really another sort of suspicious thing came up in his family's mind, which was maybe that's not the real autopsy. So they got their own autopsy done. And that autopsy came out this week and said that he was definitely a victim of homicide and that the cause of his death was asphyxiation, which means cutting off your airways. So I don't know if you guys heard this. I don't know what you guys think about this. Obviously, there have been rumors of this police officer having a record of other violations of people's rights, other deaths that he's had on his watch. So I don't know what you think about, I mean, it's the family's autopsy. So I'm inclined to believe the families, right? But then that means that there is indeed a conspiracy on the other end, which is that the police department's autopsy says the complete opposite.
Because we all look alike, right? Even in death. Let's just get some random Black person to do an autopsy on.
Well,
I was just gonna say, I definitely think it's murder, but
Yeah.
So obviously they need to change that from what is it? They're charging him now with third degree. They need to change that up to first degree.
Mm-hmm.
They definitely do need to change that to first degree from third.
I read somewhere that they actually worked together at like a club back in the day, and that there was some type of like jealousy that the officer had about on Floyd, because I think the woman he's dating now or was once engaged to or something is like the cop's ex, and he's like mad. And it could have been something where, you know, that in the article I was reading, it almost like implied that this was even like premeditated.
So that's the original event, but I want to make sure that we have time to get into something that's kind of crazy that's going on now, right? Which is like, no matter what actually happened, and this is like the American Revolution, right? They don't even know what really happened. Doesn't even matter, because what's going on now is just straight up people taking advantage of the chaos, like we were talking about at the beginning. The conspiracy is that the protesters are violent, right? That they're actually causing violence. And so the alternative theory is that the protesters themselves have actually dispersed by the time most of this violence is happening. And there were several other people, including a lot of white supremacist groups, right? And people who are taking advantage of the moment, right, of chaos to loot or to harm people, right? And so we have a little clip that we saw, including what went down in Minnesota with the station getting on fire. So I just want to show this in this segment, right? Because this is the other side of this, is who else and what else is going on.
You gotta unmute.
Sorry, y'all, while we get this off mute so you can see it.
Turn it up.
Can you hear it?
No.
If you take your headphones out, is it?
Try it again.
Here's some things the media won't tell you about what's going on in
There we go.
Minneapolis right now. The alleged $20 bill that was forged by George Floyd turned out to be real. Cops were the ones that started the fires.
No.
Protests were peaceful until the cops fired first with stun grenades, tear gas, and rubber bullets. Most of the major news sites and media outlets, primarily the right-wing ones, are trying to make the rioters look bad by editing fake gunshot sounds into their clips and their live, broadcastings, live, right? In reality, I'm going to tell you right now, our only threat right here in Minneapolis is the fucking cops. Target isn't being looted just for the fucking sake of it. They refuse to sell milk, water, hydrogen peroxide, and other supplies to protesters who are hurt at the hands of police. There are more officers standing outside Derek Chauvin's house to protect him than there are police officers helping citizens hurt at the hands of the police.
Guess who's setting fires down here? This right here?
Yeah, they put them there.
This the setup.
They put them there on purpose.
Y'all know where we at.
They gonna set them on right up on the rail.
Y'all know what building this is
Come
right
on
here.
now.
I ain't even gonna say what name it is.
All right, y'all. I'm gonna just let that speak for itself. Those are the videos. Those are the clips. I don't know as time goes on what it is that's gonna happen, who it is who's gonna jump in, how this is gonna evolve, right? But the other side of this idea that the protesters have been violent, which is, by the way, a conspiracy theory every single time that it happens, since the civil rights movement. It's always one of the theories is that the people who came out to peacefully protest turned violent, and then they had to be subdued. And the alternative view is that sometimes, maybe on purpose even, systems and individual groups and individual people can use the moment, right, to actually enact more violence and cause harm against the same community that is trying to protest. So, enough said, right? But if anybody has any final thoughts, you know, that's me. But I always think that it's good to point out that there's always multiple perspectives on the same truth.
I would like to add to that, and thank you for that, Chantel. One thing I will say, I'm happy that the news is actually reporting that, and it's not just us talking about it. They're actually showing that, look, these are white folks coming in here who are not part of the cause, because if they wasn't doing that, then I mean, there's already an outroar from people who don't even care about what's going on with us. They just care about their business. So I'm happy that we have the internet to show what the truth is.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, like I said, so I've been on campaigns and I've seen these agents, but never like I've seen before. And so like right now, like I don't feel like these are our protests. You know, I've seen just from the jump, like Black people, we're not as violent as they try to make us seem. Like if we wanted to burn down shit, we got all day, every day for 400 years in this country. If that was our narrative, we would have been done it and got it over with and moved along. That is not our narrative. You know, and even like the whole Black on Black thing, it's like we look alike, we deal with each other. So sometimes we fight each other. But as a whole, we're not the violent ones. And so we're being put in a position by violent people, by angry people, people that want to set us up continuously, people that plan on us, people that plan on us for years and years and years ahead of the game. They strangle us economically, health-wise, physically, global population control, fake pandemic. I don't know what this is. But all these things are plans and conspiracies. We're in the conspiracy section. And conspiracies that we don't know what's going on, but we are under attack. And so this is a war that has been planned and perpetuated by people that do not look like us. So yes, like when I started to hear like fires, for what? That's not our MO. But of course, like, yo, if I see somebody pulling out a big screen, I'm gonna be like, well, shit, I do need a big screen. I can flip that on the street.
But if we're robbing the Gucci store,
you know, I do need a couple belts. You know, let me get this done.
All right. Thank you so much for the conspiracy theory. Thank you, everyone, for your comments. So now we're going to move on to Queen Candace, who got us with the money management information. What do you have for us, girl?
So I just want to give some information about bailout funds, free legal assistance, and also assistance for Black-owned businesses that were affected in the riots. So I'm gonna start off with 3 bailout funds. There's one by Tamika Mallory. And you guys, like I said, Google is your best friend. So I can't give you all the information right now, but what you can do is listen to me, type it in Google, it'll pop up, okay? All right. So the bailout funds are, Tamika Mallory has one, the Brooklyn Community Bail Fund, and also the Black Lives Matter Louisville. So all 3 of these are assisting any protesters that get locked up. You can get free bailouts, okay? And then for free legal assistance, we have the Black Visions Collective Movement and Legal Fund, and then also the Colin Kaepernick Know Your Rights Camp, right? And then for last and finally not least, for any Black-owned businesses that were affected by the riots, one of my close friends is actually having her own personal fund for those businesses, and that is the Vitamin M. So you can actually find her on Facebook at the Vitamin M, and the information is there on her page, and you can go on and find that information. So I just wanted to give support, economic, financial support to our foot soldiers, because we appreciate you. And although, you know, some of us cannot make it out there or, you know, are fearful of going out there, we appreciate you. You are very much needed. You are necessary. You matter. You're amazing. Okay?
Thank you. Thank you. All right. So now we're going to go over to our youth activist, Jasmine Ballou. She has therapy tips for us today.
Hey guys, so I have some mental health tips just to kind of keep us sane during these times. So I have some 4 tips. The first one is daily journaling. Right now we're going through a lot of emotions, anger, hurt, confusion. It's not good to keep those bottled in like on a day-to-day basis. Besides that, taking a break from social media. I don't think I have to expand on that. I mean, taking care of yourself, a lot of self-care. You can't be fighting a battle if you're an empty vessel, if you're not feeling replenished. So making sure that you're, doing things for your self-care, such as like singing, dancing, writing, going out, skating, anything that basically makes you happy. And last but not least, keeping yourself in a safe space. You want to surround yourself with people who validate your experiences. Right now, especially, a lot of people are going through different experiences living in America. You don't want to be around somebody who's constantly invalidating your feelings and things such as that. You know what I mean? So making sure that you're having conversations that are productive and not making you feel worse. And those are my tips, making sure that you guys are taking care of yourselves, staying safe if you're protesting, and then, just, make sure you're taking care of yourselves.
Thank you, Jasmine. That's very much needed because people need to hear it. Thank you.
Thank you.
So we're going to move on to our events. We have event coordinator, Jay Rose. She has some information for us. So what you got for us, Jay Rose?
Okay, so a lot of events did get kind of canceled this week because of everything that's going on and the cultural climate that we're in. But there are still a few events that are still going on. So there are a few things that you may want to do if you just want to self-care and just take a break for a moment. It's okay that we're all angry and all that, but if you just need a moment to step away and breathe, we do have a few events that you can do that. Tonight, I am hosting a Netflix and quarantine event. We're just going to watch some funny movies. We're going to watch a comedy. Oh, no, that's not tonight. It's tomorrow night. Sorry, my bad. So tomorrow night, Wednesday, you can reach out to me on Instagram at My Crumbled Thoughts for the information. But it's going to be a comedy. It's just a little bit of a break for us to kind of get together and laugh together and be able to, like, enjoy a few moments of this week and then get back to business. Friday is the weekly virtual open mic that I host, and it is streamed on Facebook. Now this week we're going to have it, of course, it's an open mic, so those of you that may not want to go outside and protest, you're more than welcome to join the virtual open mic and speak your piece, create something, a poem, a song, or just something to give yourself a voice, a painting. You can show it off in the virtual open mic. So we encourage even like dancers, just if you're creative and you have an outlet, a creative outlet to express what you feel about what's going on right now, we welcome you on Friday to just come and join, express yourself. It's all going to be positivity, and it's all about, talking about what's going on, addressing it however we need to address it, and talk about the solutions that we can try to come up with together as a community. So definitely come through for that. And then on Saturday, it's a really, one of those self-care moments as far as just educating yourself. I know a lot of us want to become homeowners, no matter what's going on. When all of this is over with, we want to buy a home, right? And you want to raise your family in your home. So Miss Queen Candace is hosting an amazing workshop on Saturday. It's free information, guys. People want to charge for all types of information. This is free. So some tips on first-time home buyers. So those young people out there, don't be afraid. You're not too young to own a home. Get that knowledge, share that knowledge with your friends, share that knowledge with your family, and it's free. So reach out to Queen Candace at thequeenblueprint.com. I'm sure you can get all the information for the workshop there, or you can check her out on Instagram at the Queen Blueprint. And that is all we have for this week as far as virtual events. I thank you guys. I hope to see you guys on Friday, and I hope to see you guys on Saturday. And that's it. Everybody, please stay safe out there.
Thank you so much, Jay Rose. Yes, everyone, please stay safe out there. And we have our CEO, Monica Grant of Young Boss Media, who's going to close us out today. So I'm going to give that to you, Monica.
On mute. Thank you, sis. First of all, I want to say thank you to all the ladies of the panel. Shout out to Trina. It's really important during this time. Yeah, Trina, we love you. It's really important during this time that we have community. And there was question about would we continue to do the show today while we are in Blackout Tuesday, Blackout for Humanity, Blackout for Black Lives, Blackout for all people, Blackout for all oppressed people, Blackout for poor people. What we would not black out is Black media. It is extremely important that our voices are heard. Our voices are put to the top. Our voices are shared. Our voices are amplified. And our voices right here in New York City, Yamina in LA, she go back and forth. She that type of sister. We're all around the world, and our voices need to be heard. What's happening in Sudan, what's happening in Ghana, what's happening in Liberia, what's happening in Oakland, in Crenshaw. All of our experiences are extremely similar, but also unique. And so as a company, that's what we do. We want to amplify the voices of our people. Now, when I thought about closing words, right, a lot of people come to me and ask me, Monica, what should I do? And I feel like I always give them an answer that they don't like. Because the answer is always, you know what to do. Your creator, your God, your Buddha, your Allah, your Yahweh, whatever you call him or her, has given you that voice that tells you what is right for you. So if during this time you feel like protesting, you protest. If you feel like I need to sit home and stay with these kids and read to these kids, if that's what that voice is telling you to do, that's what you do. You have to follow the voice in your head, in your heart, especially if that voice is creating more compassion within your life, within your family. The creator is not going to lead you blind. The creator is not going to have you in a space of confusion. You know what to do. If you're being told, I don't want to put no more perm in my hair, I want to take out the wigs, I want to go vegan, you might be saying, like, Monica, that's trivial. Like, we got to change the country right now. But you know, in all these great books, it says how you handle something very small is how you handle something really big. So if your voice is telling you the change of how you eat, when you do that, you'll start getting keys to bigger problems and solutions to bigger issues. Follow your voice, walk on water, take that first step. Because at the end of the day, like, I think what happens is we want to get in a position of what Black people need to do is, and the truth is, we were never taught how to not only build a community, but we were never taught what a community is. In school, we never had a community class. We never had a moment where we were told in a community, there exists transportation, there exists education, there exists healthcare, there exists daycare, there exists all these little things. And so we think that because we live amongst each other that we're in a community, but we were never taught what a community is. And so when people yell out what we need to do, they're actually all correct. Everybody's correct. But we all have to take that voice inside of our hearts and build right there. And that's how we build a community. Because everybody can't be the doctor. Everybody can't be the media person. Everybody can't be the seamstress. But if you have the calling to make these masks, make the mask, sis or bro. Make the mask. Because everybody can't do that. And so you really have to be in tune with yourself and just listen to your calling. You know what to do. You know. And if this is the validation you need, please move forward. You know what to do. Follow your voice, follow your heart, especially if you know that that's going to lead to a long-term just compassion, empathy for our people. We don't need to be fighting on Facebook right now. Turn it off, like Jasmine said. Turn it off. If anything's leading you to argue with somebody or feeling like you have that spirit, it ain't right. We don't need that right now. We need unity more than ever. Because no matter what the enemy does, we are here because our ancestors said we will be alive to see through this. We will see through this. We got people that's been praying for us for centuries. That's why we're here today. So that's why I'm comfortable in a revolution, because my ancestors wanted a revolution. That's why we're here, and we will see through this. But we will see through it by building that community and listening to the voice that our Creator has given us, step by step, moment by moment, day by day. Love on your family, love on your people, call up people and forgive them. Call up people and say, you know what, my bad, I ain't heard from you in a minute. I love you. You know what I mean? Do what you can do to support your community and build community. That's what we need right now. That's what we need. So thank you so much for your time. This is Young Boss Media. All the ladies on this panel are dope. They're amazing. They have their own platforms. Please go follow them, build them up while we continue to build you up. That is, amongst all of us, that is our goal, is to build our people up.
Fine. Do you mind if I share the link for that guy for brands?
Please, yes, share all the links.
If you have a brand, or you know somebody who's influencing a company, or if you're on the board of something right now who doesn't know how to react, the guide that I was talking about is at lifebystyle.com/shop. That's a very simple, just as it sounds, link, lifebystyle.com/shop. If you're looking for ways to support, ways to put your energy behind people who are doing the work, and you're somebody who's involved with brand and PR, or if you're an influencer, please take a look at it.
Yes. And what I also want to do is, if we could put all the information that was shared, Jay Rose, can you send it to me so we could put it up on the page? Because people are asking questions like, how do I get to the virtual event? How do I find Queen Candace? People want to know. And so I'm so thankful to everybody that tuned in today. It is a challenging task playing a producer on the virtual world, because we know these pigs might want to snatch down the video. So on the third try, we got it. So I'm so thankful for our viewers. Please share the word. Please share the message. Make Lemonade happens every Tuesday at 3 p.m. right here on Young Boss Media. Peace and love to you all. Be safe. Take care of yourself and stay Black.